I realized he was lying to himself the night. He kissed a girl and kept looking at me to see if I was watching. Not in a subtle way either. Full-on glances, like he needed confirmation. Like the kiss didn't count unless I saw it and believed the story he was telling himself. That was the moment something inside me shifted. Because I'd known him too long. I knew the way his shoulders tightened when he was uncomfortable. I knew the look he got when he was trying to outrun a thought instead of facing it. And I knew deep down that I was the only one who saw through him. His name was Oliver. We'd been friends since sophomore year of college. Not casual friends, not we grab a beer sometimes. Real friends. Late night drives. Share playlists. Inside jokes that didn't make sense to anyone else. The kind of friendship people assumed would fade once life got complicated, but somehow didn't. Everyone else knew him as that guy. Tall, athletic, easy smile. The kind of straight guy girls felt safe flirting with because he flirted back just enough without making it weird. He dated. He got involved. He checked all the boxes. And then there was me. I never planned on falling for him. That's the thing people don't get. You don't sit down one day and decide, yeah, I'm going to emotionally ruin myself over my straight best friend. It just happens. Quietly. Slowly. Until one day, you realize your mood depends on how long it takes him to text back. Oliver knew I was gay. That had never been an issue. He'd been cool about it from day one. Supportive even. Joked that I had better taste in men than most of his exes. He'd never flinched when I talked about dates. Never acted uncomfortable. Which is why it took me so long to accept what was happening between us. The lines didn't blur all at once. They frayed. It started with proximity. Sitting closer than necessary on the couch. Falling asleep during movie nights with his leg pressed against mine and not moving away. Hugging me longer than he hugged anyone else, like he forgot where his arms were supposed to stop. I told myself it was nothing, that straight guys could be affectionate, that I was projecting. But then there were the moments he didn't realize I noticed. Like the way his voice dropped when it was just us. The way his eyes lingered when he thought I wasn't looking. The way he stiffened if I pulled away first. The night of the party was supposed to be harmless. A friend of his birthday, loud music, cheap drinks, bodies packed too close together. Oliver disappeared into the crowd at some point, and I didn't think much of it. Until I found him in the kitchen with a girl straddling his lap. People were cheering them on. Someone whistled. It was all very performative. Oliver laughed, kissed her like he was supposed to, hands on her hips. And then his eyes met mine. He didn't stop. He just watched me. Something about that look hit me in the chest. Not guilt, not shame, panic. Like he needed me to see him doing the right thing. Like he was begging me not to question it. I left early that night. Didn't say goodbye. He texted me 5 minutes later. You good? I stared at the screen for a long time before replying. Yeah, just tired. A lie. A small one. But not nearly as big as his. Because here's the truth I hadn't admitted yet. Oliver wasn't confused. He wasn't curious. He wasn't just affectionate. He was terrified. And the worst part? I was the only one who knew. After that night, things didn't explode. They tightened. That's what made it worse. Oliver didn't bring up the party. I didn't either. We slipped back into our routine like nothing had cracked, but everything felt slightly off-center. Like a picture frame hung just crooked enough that you couldn't stop noticing it once you saw it. He started coming over more. Not for anything specific. Just to be there. He'd sit on my couch scrolling through his phone, not really paying attention to anything. Sometimes we wouldn't even talk. Just existing in the same space. The silence thick but not uncomfortable. Intimate in a way I didn't have language for yet. One night, he asked if he could crash at my place. His apartment had AC. Mine barely worked. The excuse was flimsy, and we both knew it. I said yes anyway. We watched some dumb reality show, made fun of everyone on screen, laughed too hard at jokes that weren't that funny. Around midnight, he stretched, arms over his head, shirt riding up just enough for my brain to betray me. You good if I just take the couch? He asked. I hesitated. You know the couch isn't great. He smirked. So, who does the floor? There it was. The opening. Unspoken, but clear. My bed's big, I said, keeping my tone casual. Just don't steal the blanket. He looked at me for a second longer than necessary. Searching, measuring. Then he nodded. Cool. We lay there side by side, Facing opposite directions like that somehow made it safer. The room was dark except for the street light bleeding through the curtains. I could hear his breathing, feel the warmth of him through the mattress. Minutes passed, maybe longer. "Do you ever wish," he said quietly, "that things were simpler?" I swallowed. "Depends. Simpler how?" He rolled onto his back, stared at the ceiling, like not having to think so much before doing something, or worry what it means. I knew what he was really asking. He wasn't subtle. He just wasn't brave yet. "Yeah," I said. "Sometimes." He turned his head toward me. I didn't look back. If I did, I wasn't sure I'd be able to stop myself. "I think you're the only person I can talk to like this," he continued, without feeling judged. That almost made me laugh. Almost. "You're not being judged," I said. "You're just being seen." Silence again. Heavy. Electric. His hand brushed mine by accident. At least, I think he wanted me to believe it was an accident. Neither of us moved it away. My heart was pounding so loud, I was sure he could hear it. His fingers twitched once, then settled. Just resting there. Barely touching. But it felt like crossing a line we couldn't uncross. "I should sleep," he muttered. "Yeah," I said, though neither of us did. The next morning, he left early. No guardianes. No mention of the night. Just a quiet, "see you later," and a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. That became the pattern. Moments that almost happened. Conversations that circled the truth without landing on it. Touches that lingered just long enough to make me question my sanity. I knew how this story usually went. I'd lived it before in smaller ways. Straight guy. Emotional intimacy. Just enough hope to hurt. I told myself I'd pull back. But then he showed up at my door one night, eyes red, hands shaking. "I screwed up," he said. And I knew whatever he was about to say, there was no going back now. He didn't wait for me to ask what he meant. "I got involved with her," Oliver said, pacing my living room like the walls were closing in. "The girl from the party. We went out again. I thought maybe if I just went through with it, everything would quiet down." He dragged a hand through his hair, breathing hard. It didn't. I stayed quiet. Not because I didn't have things to say, but because I knew this wasn't about me talking. It was about him finally listening to himself. "She fell asleep on my chest," he went on, and all I could think about was how wrong it felt. Not bad, just empty, like I was acting in someone else's life. That hit somewhere deep. I kept my voice steady. "Oliver, what do you want from me right now?" He stopped pacing, looked at me like the question scared him more than anything else. "I don't know," he admitted. "That's the problem." We sat on opposite ends of the couch, a distance that felt deliberate now. Defensive. "I'm not asking you to label anything," I said carefully. "And I'm not here to tell you who you are. But you can't keep dragging me into this halfway space and pretend it doesn't mean something." He nodded, too quickly, like he'd already rehearsed agreeing. "I know," he said. "I just when I'm with you, it's quiet. In my head. And when I'm not, everything's loud again." That was the most honest thing he'd ever said to me. "And what happens if you cross that line?" I asked. "What happens when it's not just thoughts anymore?" He looked down at his hands, flexed them like he was testing something invisible. "I don't think I could go back," he said quietly. There it was. The truth neither of us wanted to say out loud. I should have ended it then. Should have protected myself. Should have told him to figure his shit out before coming to me like this. Instead, I said, "Then don't pretend you don't know what you're risking." He looked up. Our eyes locked. For a moment, neither of us breathed. He didn't kiss me. Not yet. But he leaned in, forehead resting against mine, close enough that I could feel the heat of him. Close enough that my body responded before my brain could stop it. "I'm scared," he whispered. "I know," I said. "So am I." His hand found my wrist. Gentle, asking without words. I didn't pull away. That night, he stayed over again. We didn't cross the line, but we slept facing each other this time, knees touching, his arm draped over my waist like it belonged there. And in the dark, with his breath warm against my neck, I knew something irreversible had already happened. Because once a man lets himself feel that safe, going back to the lie hurts more than the truth ever will. The next few weeks felt like living inside a hell breath. Nothing official changed, and yet everything did. Oliver didn't pull away like I half expected. If anything, he leaned in harder. He texted me first now. asked to hang out with no pretense, canceled plans with other people, and didn't bother making excuses for it. But in public, he was still Oliver, still straight, still effortlessly playing the role everyone expected of him. And I was still the secret. That realization crept up on me slowly, the way cold does. One moment you're fine, the next you're shivering and don't remember when it started. We were at a bar one night with his friends. Loud, crowded, familia. I watched him flirt with a girl at the counter, easy and charming, like it didn't cost him anything. Like he hadn't spent the night before curled against me, fingers laced with mine under the covers. She laughed at something he said, touched his arm. He glanced over at me, just for a second. That look again, the same one from the party. There you watching, do you still believe the lie look? I felt something harden in my chest. Later, outside, while his friends smoked and argued about where to go next, Oliver stepped closer to me. Too close to be casual, not close enough to be obvious. You mad? He murmured. I shook my head. No, a lie. Bigger this time. He studied my face. You don't have to do that. Do what? Protect me from my own shit. I exhaled slowly. I'm not protecting you. I'm protecting myself. That shut him up. We walked home together in silence. When we got to my place, he followed me inside without asking. Like it was assumed. Like this was where he belonged now. The door barely clicked shut before he spoke. I can't keep pretending with you, he said. Not like this. My pulse spiked. Then don't. He took a step closer. I don't know how to stop pretending everywhere else. That's not something I can fix for you. I know, he said, but I need you to know I am not using you. I looked at him, really looked at him. The tension in his jaw, the fear barely contained. Then make a choice, I said softly, because standing in the middle is still choosing. Just not me. The room went quiet. No dramatic music. No perfect timing. Just the hum of the fridge and the weight of honesty. Oliver closed the distance between us. When he kissed me this time, it wasn't tentative. It wasn't confused. It was desperate and grounding all at once, like he was finally letting his body do what his mind had been fighting. I kissed him back, not because I thought it would fix everything, but because I knew right then that this was the point of no return. Some choices don't explode your life all at once. They just make it impossible to go back to who you were before. The kiss didn't solve anything. If anything, it made the silence afterward heavier. Oliver pulled back first, breathing hard, forehead resting against mine like before, but this time there was no safety net of denial. His hands stayed on my sides, thumbs pressed into my ribs like he was grounding himself. Damn, he muttered, not in a playful way, in a what have I done way. I didn't chase the moment. I didn't tell him it was okay. I'd learned better by then. That's what choosing feels like, I said quietly. It's not clean. He nodded once, then stepped back. That was the part that hurt more than I expected. He slept on the couch that night. The next morning, he was gone before I woke up. No text, no note. For 3 days, I didn't hear from him. I told myself I was fine. I went to work, answered emails, laughed at the right moments. But everything felt muted, like I was moving through water. I kept replaying the kiss in my head, not the way it felt, but the look on his face after, the fear, the grief. Like he just buried a version of himself he wasn't ready to let go of. On the 4th night, there was a knock on my door. I knew it was him before I opened it. He looked wrecked, dark circles under his eyes, hoodie pulled up like armor, hands shoved deep into his pockets. I told her, he said. I didn't ask who. I broke it off, he continued. Not just her. Everyone. The dates. The flirting. The pretending. My chest tightened. Oliver. I'm not saying this to get points, he cut in. I'm saying it because once I said it out loud, I couldn't take it back. And now everything's different. I stepped aside. Let him in. We didn't sit this time. We stood in the middle of the room, a few feet apart, like distance was the only thing keeping us from imploding. I'm scared I waited too long, he said, that I already ruined this. You didn't ruin it, I said, but you don't get to half choose me anymore. He swallowed. I know. Silence stretched between us. Being with you means losing parts of my old life, he said. Friends, comfort, the version of myself that never had to explain anything. And being with you, I replied, means I can't be your secret, or your experiment, or the place you hide when it gets hard. He nodded again. slower this time, like the weight of it was finally settling in. I don't want to undo this, he said, but I know I can't undo who I've been either. That was the moment I realized something important. Love doesn't ask if you're ready. It asks if you're willing to live with the consequences. And Oliver, standing there, terrified and honest and completely undone, was finally choosing something he couldn't undo. The question was whether I could choose him back. I didn't answer him right away. That silence? That was me deciding whether I was about to change my life too. Because loving someone like Oliver wasn't just about him figuring himself out. It meant I'd be there while he did. It meant being seen with him in public before he was fully comfortable. It meant other people's opinions becoming my problem again after I'd worked so hard to stop caring. I can't be the place you land, I said finally, if you're going to resent me for the fall. He flinched, not because it was cruel, but because it was accurate. I don't think I will, he said. Then, quieter, but I know I might. That honesty mattered more than any promise. I walked past him to the kitchen, needed the movement, the space. He followed, but didn't crowd me this time. He was learning. Slowly. I don't need you to be fearless, I said. I need you to be real, even when it costs you. He leaned against the counter, eyes fixed on the floor. I told my brother, he said suddenly. That made me turn around. He didn't freak out. Oliver continued. He was confused, asked a lot of questions, but he didn't walk away. A small, cautious hope flickered in my chest. I didn't tell him about you, Oliver added quickly. Not yet. That felt too big. And there was again, the line. Still there. Just thinner now. I nodded. Okay. He looked up, surprised. Okay. For now, I clarified. But not forever. He accepted that. I could tell by the way his shoulders dropped. Relief, mixed with something heavier. Responsibility. That night he stayed. In my bed. No pretending this time. No space between us that felt like denial. We didn't rush anything. We didn't have to. He held me like someone afraid of waking up alone. I held him like someone who knew what it cost to stay. In the morning, he didn't leave early. We got coffee together. Walked down the street side by side. No hands held, but no distance either. Just two men existing in the same frame, visible if someone bothered to look. Halfway down the block, he slowed. People are going to notice, he said. I met his eyes. Yeah, they are. He took a breath, then deliberately brushed his hand against mine. Not gripping, not hiding, just enough. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't a fling. This wasn't confusion. This was a choice he was making over and over, awkwardly, imperfectly, but consciously. And choices like that, they change you. The only question left was how much they were going to cost him, and whether love would be enough to make it worth it. The cost came faster than either of us expected. It always does. A week later, one of his friends saw us leaving a coffee shop together. Nothing dramatic. No hand-holding. Just the way Oliver leaned in when he laughed. The way I touched his arm without thinking. That was enough. The group chat went quiet for a day. Then came the jokes. Half serious. Half testing. Oliver showed me the messages that night, sitting on the edge of my bed like he was waiting for a verdict. So, when were you going to tell us? Didn't know you swung that way, man. Is this a phase, or? He stared at his phone like it had personally betrayed him. I didn't answer, he said. I didn't know how. I took the phone from his hand, set it face down. You don't owe them a speech. You owe yourself honesty. He nodded, but his jaw was tight. I hate that this feels like I'm losing something no matter what I do. That was when I finally understood something I hadn't let myself feel before. This wasn't just hard for him. It was lonely. A few days later, he answered them. Not with a big announcement. Just a simple message. I'm figuring things out. I'm with someone I care about. That's all you need to know. Some friends backed off. A couple surprised him in a good way. One didn't talk to him again. Oliver took that one the hardest. I didn't think it would hurt this much, he admitted one night, lying next to me, staring at the ceiling. Grief doesn't care if the thing you're losing was good for you, I said. It still feels like loss. He turned onto his side, facing me. Why are you so calm about this? I smiled a little sad. I'm not calm. I am practiced. That made him flinch. I don't want you to harden because of me, he said. I won't, I replied. But I won't disappear either. The real breaking point came a month later. We ran into his ex-accident. Grocery store. Fluorescent lights and bad timing. She looked at us. really looked. Then at him. Oh, she said. Soft. Understanding clicked into place. That explains a lot. Oliver froze. I fell in retreat just a little. Old reflex. Old fear. I didn't mean to hurt you, he said quickly. She smiled, sad but kind. I know. I just wish you'd known sooner. After she walked away, Oliver didn't speak until we got home. Then he sat down hard on the couch and covered his face. I wasted so much time, he said, running from something that was already true. I sat beside him. You didn't waste it. You survived it. He looked up at me then. Really looked. And you, he said. You stayed. I didn't answer. Because staying wasn't the same as promising forever. And he still had one choice left to make. One that would decide whether this was a chapter or a life. The last choice didn't come with fireworks. No dramatiken festen. No ultimatum. Just a quiet moment that mattered more than anything else. It happened on a Sunday. We were supposed to meet his parents for lunch. Casual thing. Something he'd done 100 times before. Except this time, he asked hesitantly if I wanted to come. Not as a friend, he said. As me, I didn't answer right away. I didn't need to. That morning, he stood in front of the mirror longer than usual, adjusting his shirt like it might decide his future. His hands were shaking when he grabbed his keys. You don't have to, I told him one last time. Not today. Not ever. He looked at me. Really looked. The way you look when you already know the truth and just need the courage to live with it. I do, he said, because if I don't, I'll spend the rest of my life lying to myself. And I can't do that anymore. Lunch was awkward. Of course it was. Questions. Pauses. His mom looking between us like she was recalibrating something she thought she understood. But no one yelled. No one stormed out. His dad nodded slowly. Said, as long as you're happy. His mom reached across the table and squeezed Oliver's hand. Took a while, but she squeezed mine too. On the drive home, Oliver didn't say anything for a long time. Then he laughed. Not nervously. Not forced. Just free. I thought it would feel heavier, he said. I smiled. Sometimes truth does that. Once you stop carrying it alone. That night, lying next to him, he turned to me and said the thing I didn't expect. Even if this ends someday, he said, voice steady. This is the choice I'll never regret. Because I finally chose honestly. That's when I knew. Not that we'd last forever. No one gets that guarantee. But that he'd crossed the line he could never uncross. He wasn't lying to himself anymore. And I wasn't the only one who knew the truth.